Hello everybody, welcome to Dakman Productions and welcome to Conahey Rail. So we have another unboxing from Mr. Muffins. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. And again, I don't usually do an unboxing video unless I have a story to tell. So with that being said, I appreciate all my viewers. There's some viewers that, rather stay behind the lines and, view my videos and not get involved with comments, so that's cool. I'm good with that. If you'd rather, not have your name out there and stuff, I respect your privacy, absolutely. And then there's viewers that will, make comments and are very supportive of the hobby and the channels. And so one viewer comes to mind by the name of Randy Jacobs. And, he was very supportive of the hobby. He always seemed to be involved in many different live feeds and live shows on YouTube and the chats. He was always interactive and supportive of all the YouTube channels that are involved with the O-Gauge model train hobby in one way or another. And so, unfortunately, when you hear things, that happen, like Randy Jacobs unfortunately passed away, it sort of touches you because you're so used to seeing those supportive comments and now they're not going to be there anymore. And it's just, sad things happen and, it's unfortunate. And he wasn't that old. It just hits you hard when you're close in age to somebody that passed away. And viewers, they say that the YouTube channels touches their lives, but the viewers don't realize you touch our lives too. So it's like when you're constantly making comments and our videos and stuff and being supportive, it's like, it's hard to explain. It's like you're becoming part of the family, We're getting to know you and who you are, and then we finally get to meet you out there at a train show, whatever have you. But, to be always supportive, it's like, you're part of the family. And so it's hard when you hear somebody like that passes away. And PGH Train Fanatics, Nick had a live show dedicated to Randy Jacobs, which was pretty cool. It was a celebration of life, and I watched the live show. PGH Train Fanatics always used to put on these great live shows. I know he would get frustrated because sometimes he would run into problems, but that's part of O-Gauge railroading. You're going to have, not everything's going to go smoothly. You will have problems, but live shows are a lot of work. So I gotta give Nick credit where credit is due. Live shows are not easy, especially handling them yourselves, running the trains, paying attention to the chat, interacting with everybody. It's a lot of work. And then when you have things that are going on the layout on top of that, yeah, it can get frustrating quick. But he did a good job as far as the celebration of life for Randy Jacobs. So, Nick, if you're watching this, good job. I'm glad to see one of your live shows come back again. They were always entertaining. So yeah, the viewers to us YouTube channels mean a lot to us. And you guys really do. Whether you're involved in the chat or not, you guys mean a lot to us. So, at any rate, what do we have here today? Again, we got a delivery from Mr. Muffins, so let's see what we got. Alrighty. So, we got orange boxes. And this time, believe it or not, it's not going to be Conrail. And no, it's not going to be Reading either. I laugh because I like teasing Walter Herbine of the Train Shop Weekly. But anyway, so what we have here, are the Lionel Procor Unibody tank cars. We'll get these out of the box because I'm sure you guys are looking at a glare. We'll get one out of the box and we'll talk about it, and we'll do a little small review on this tank car. So let's go. Okay, so in front of us we have a Lionel Standard O Unibody tank car. That's correct, Standard O. So what is Standard O? And I'm going to make a video about this more in depth later on. Basically, Lionel Standard O is a piece of rolling stock that is still scale, but is not as well detailed, and sometimes the scale can be kind of squished proportionally. But Standard O gets you into a scale at a cheaper price point. So you get into a scale product at a cheaper price point, but just understand what you're getting here is not going to be exactly a high-end piece. So this model features die-cast trucks operating knuckle couplers, and it is 11 inches in length. If you take a look at the ladder and the upper rail on top of the tank, you can see it's really bulky. It's not really to scale, but again, we have to understand what we just bought here. The Standard O is not as well detailed or fine detailed as a Lionel scale product. So I guess the easiest way to to describe this is Atlas O Master Series and Atlas O Trainman Series. Atlas O Master Series has fine details on it, and lots of them. The Trainman Series can have molded in details and bulky details. So basically, the Lionel Standard O would be equivalent to the Atlas O Trainman Series. Here we have the Lionel trucks. Now they do have springs in them. However, the springs really don't do anything. There's no movement in there. They're just there for looks. The one thing that really bugs me about this car, and people are going to say I'm rivet counting, but oh well, I'm going to do it anyway, is that this car, for a modern piece, has friction bearing cap trucks on it, which is totally incorrect for any modern unibody tank car. The price point on this tank car is $61.49. Not too bad, actually, for somebody who wanted to get into a scale car that's not full details. And this would get you there if you wanted to step up from semi-scale or traditional O-gauge and step into full scale. This would be a good way of doing it that's affordable. So how much has changed on the Lionel Standard O Unibody tank car that's made today versus something that was made in 1991? So this tank car, this Lionel Standard O tank car, was made in 1991. Now, one of the things you'll see right away is what you're getting today already has the placards on it. So when you got originally when you got these cars in 1991, you had to install the hazmat placards yourself onto the car. So at least they're already applied when you get the new car. They're already on there. You'll notice detail-wise, not much has changed since 1991. They're still using the same bulky ladders, the same bulky railings, on the ends. It's not much has changed since 1991. Again, in a way, that could be a good thing to keep the price point cheap for those who want to step into, or the next step from traditional O-gauge and going into full scale or scale O-gauge 3-rail trains. The one thing that I noticed they did change, however, are the trucks. So originally in 1991, you'll see the trucks actually, the springs actually do work on here. You can see right there I'm compressing them. They're actually compressible, which you cannot do on this car. The springs are just there for decoration. So would I recommend this car? Yeah, for the price point, it's not bad. It's a great entry level, scale proportioned O-gauge car for those who want to step up into this full scale and but yet get something that's more reasonably priced. This is a perfect start. Procor, for those who don't know, is a leasing company based in Canada. Much like TILX, GATX, UTLX, those are all examples of leasing companies. You'll find that most railroads want nothing to do with maintaining tank cars at all. So that's why you'll find 99% of them are leased. And the leasing companies are what take care of the maintenance of the tank cars. Now you'll see quite a few Procor tank cars out there on the rails, but Procor has also leased out box cars and hopper cars as well. I would love to see an O-gauge manufacturer come out with a Procor hopper car. That would be so cool. So the next question is this prototypical? Well, besides the friction-bearing trucks, which are completely wrong, but I guess you can always swap them out. Again, it's a low-end cost model, so I guess I can't gripe too much. However, yes, this is very much so prototypical. And I have covered in my past videos the reason behind the orange stripe, but I will mention it here again in this video. So there was a short-lived Canadian law that stated any tank car that hauled chlorine, which is what this is labeled as, or hauling. So any tank car hauling chlorine, it was mandated it had to have an orange stripe around the tank car. This was to quickly identify it by the first responders in case of a derailment. However, the law seemed good on paper, but in practice it didn't do too well because when the car caught fire, it burned the paint off and you couldn't see it anyway. So they no longer required the orange stripe on chlorine tank cars. However, you can see sometimes ones that have not been repainted, you might still see ones with orange stripes on them, and that's what they meant. So that also went for any freight cars that were in the United States that were going to be rolling through Canada would also had to have the orange stripes painted on them if they were hauling chlorine. Now, this is not the first time that Lionel has modeled the Procor chlorine cars, but it is the first time they modeled it with the mandatory orange stripe that was mandated in Canada for a little short time. That law has been abolished. It is no more. But here is the original Lionel Procor chlorine car right here. It was available as a 3-pack only. I'm sure dealers broke them apart and sold them separately, but they were originally a 3-pack. And this would be a great car to add on before and after the Canadian law, or if you were to keep it in the United States and it wasn't going to leave to go to Canada anyway. So to have both variations of the Procor chlorine tank car, I think it's kind of cool. And yes, I do have the 3-pack of this. People have been wanting to buy it from me, but sorry, I'm not giving up on those Procor tank cars at all. So how does the Lionel Standard O tank car compare to the Atlas O Master Series 10 card. Now, yeah, I am comparing apples to oranges here, to be perfectly honest. So, the Atlas O is a much higher end card because it is a Master Series compared to the Standard O on low detail. However, you can see the difference in the Master Series just in the details, and in the it's just much more finer detail. So that's what I'm talking about as far as the fine detail, and having the correct roller bearing cap trucks, which actually rotate, which is one of the reasons why I just keep buying more and more Atlas O, because they do have functional rotating wheel bearing caps just like the real railroads. And just once again, you get the finer details of the tanks and the grading. It's a much better car. So if you're looking for scale and detail and you're willing to pay the money for it, these are more money. So you're going to pay right around $90 for this versus $62 for that. So there's your comparison, even though it's not a real fair one, but I still wanted to put it out there anyway. Would I buy these all over again? Yeah. I mean, for $61, it's still a great addition to the railroad. And so stay tuned. I'm going to do a Lionel Standard O video in the future, probably sometime in December, because I'm just too booked up in November to do one that soon. So sometime in December, I plan on doing that video, explaining the Standard O, what it is, and the details and the differences and stuff like that. And it should be a very interesting video for you guys that like history and comparisons and differences and stuff like that. So, until next time, we'll see you guys trackside. Goodbye.